On the defensive side, where are you seeing AI genuinely help teams work smarter instead of just faster?
That's a great question. And I would boil it down to twofold, right? So to help defenders, the thing AI is really good at is pattern recognition. It's really good at doing the same thing over and over again. And so being able to identify, hey, within this group of alerts, within this behavior that my users are doing, it's able to say that, hey, this is normal behavior. This alert looks exactly the same as the other ones. This behavior is pretty much the same thing we're seeing. And then pull out the anomalies that, hey, this is a needle that's in my haystack. And what happens is the AI then pulls that out, and the defender then can focus on that piece that it pulled out, on that anomaly, and really then identify what that risk is, whether that is in fact a true positive, and find that alert and take advantage of that to be able to pull out what's actually a risk and what's not. And then the second piece is around proactive considerations. And so this will help organizations reduce operational risk. And so the first is identifying gaps in hardening and vulnerability risk posture. And so to do that, what happens is the AI can look at what's the configuration on my device, what is the vulnerability risk there, what software versions do I have, what firmware versions on my devices, and then be able to identify, hey, this is an outdated version, this configuration is misconfigured, there's an opening in there for an attacker to get at, and be able to give you that insight to say, hey, this is something you need to look at. Historically, organizations have had to do that manually or use some sort of scanning tool, which is not uncommon. But where it can take it a step further is provide insights of how to remediate those vulnerabilities. And so, of course, for this to be effective, the large language model needs to have the correct inputs from the vendors and manufacturers of those devices and the software to say that these are the vulnerable conditions and these are the remediated conditions. And so AI can then give a very quick synopsis of hundreds, thousands of different vendors and say, these are the specific details of how to go ahead and remediate that device. And by the way, if I want to create an automation, I can then say, well, to automate this and to set that hardened state on the device, you need to do these configurations, and here's a script or here's an automation of how to go ahead and do that. Now, of course, being the experts, the defenders need to still make sure that what it's doing is accurate and you can trust the output. But it takes the time away from having to build it from scratch and then instead be able to just verify the output and then run it if required. And then lastly, one of the big things that's a big time suck for defenders is proving compliance and audits, especially if you're in a regulated industry. I know I worked at a bank for a long time, and we were getting audited every day. I think there's 4 or 5 different sets of audits. And so we had to constantly provide the data to those auditors. One thing AI can help with there is providing audit-ready reports or pulling the data that you need to report on. So that way you have the accurate data and you have the information for those auditors and save you a lot of time.